Hey guys, welcome to South Party Speedy Reviews, where I give you my opinion on anime in 5 minutes or your money back. Today we're looking at Hellsing Ultimate, a cult classic in the anime world. Now why am I reviewing a cult classic? Because fuck you, I had to watch some shit last week and I feel like watching some killer vampires, so let's get on with it. A former Nazi known as the Major has resurfaced with an entire army of vampires and killer zeppelins. Because, as you know, nothing says I'm evil like zeppelins. His target? England. More specifically, London. Even more specifically, Hellsing, which is right about here. An organization charged by the Queen of England with the task of eliminating all supernatural threats, specifically vampires. What really makes Hellsing a force to be reckoned with is the vampire Alucard, who has pledged his loyalty to the head of the Hellsing organization, Integra Fairbrook Wingate Hellsing. With the help of the newly reborn vampire Sarah Victoria, and Integra's butler and former vampire hunter, Walter C. Dornays, Hellsing must defend London from the Major's onslaught. Oh, and the Vatican gets involved in the action too. The story is simple in explanation, but very complicated and in-depth in its execution. The show does not skimp on the details. Everything is given an explanation, even some of the things other animes would have cut out to save time. This makes for a truly engaging story. You understand why everything is happening, and thus you have a reason to care about it. They won't just throw things at you for no reason. This especially helps when it comes to the characters, which, now that I'm on the subject, the characters in this show are shining examples of how to do character development. You're given enough info on them to understand their motivations. This especially comes through with Alucard, who at first seems like your typical badass gun-worthy vampire, but as the show progresses, you get a really deep look into his mind and his feelings on the current situation. No character is wasted in this show, which is a good thing, because in a show filled with as many characters as these, you'd think you wouldn't care about half the guys that are important, but they truly do add sort of a life to the show. It's perfect. If I had to pick my favorite character, it would of course be Alucard, with Alexander Anderson coming up second because he's just a badass like that. The animation side of the show is where it gets complicated. This show has a whopping 4 animation studios behind it. They all seem to have kept the same dark and realistic tones, and dear God, do they know how to make characters look twisted. In a show as dark as this, you get to know that watching might give you nightmares. And of course, there's the gore, which is everywhere! This show gets graphic as hell. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at this!
Lock the door.
Dear God. I love it so fucking much. Lastly, this show has the most tasteful use of CG I've seen in a while. They don't use it for everything, they just use it for things that would definitely take too much time to do it hand-drawn animation style. It's a nice taste of fresh air, especially after watching a few of the Pokemon movies lately. Oh God, CG in Pokemon movies. So, my final verdict? Do I even have to fucking say it? This show obviously gets a seal of approval. Hell, I give it 5 seals of approval. This show is a classic. If you have not watched this, then I must take your anime fan card until you do. But that's all I got for you today. So until next time, this is Shade saying, Rayquaza, bitches, I'm out!
I've heard quite a lot about you.
Oh, really?
The Nightwalker, who glides through oceans of blood. Beyond human, a monster whose power radiates with a darkness that casts a shadow on darkness itself.
Oh, you dirty bitch, work the shaft.
Excuse you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I like to dirty talk when someone's sucking my dick.
After rescuing Speedwagon from the grips of the German armies, Jojo learns of the existence of the Pillar Men, who are the original creators of the Stone Mask. After they are all awakened, Joseph teams up with Zeppelin's grandson, Caesar, and attempts to stop them, but both fail. In an